explaining you guys about servers. Everything about servers we'll discuss in today's session, and we'll also see how we can deploy our website to a web server. And at the end of the day, we'll see some question and answers also. So, so let's start. Okay. So our agenda for today is quick revision for previous previous session and understanding about the global infrastructure, as many of you already know about the global infrastructure of AWS, but still we revise that thing in today's session, and then we'll look upon the AWS services, then quick overview of EC2, what is EC2 is actually, and then what is the difference between servers on the cloud and servers on premises, and we'll also understand what are servers and how to launch a server, and we'll understand about websites also before we deploy our website to EC2, and then we'll also and then we also have a look upon what are websites and hands-on website hosting. So let's start. So what is cloud computing? Cloud computing is means to you is cloud computing is a on-demand IT resources which are available to you by pay-as-you-go pricing. You only pay for what you use, and as these resources are available to you online, so this is the benefit of the cloud, that you don't have to manage the infrastructure, and also infrastructure related stuffs like managing security, physical security, cooling, electricity, etc. And all of these services are available to you by pay as you go pricing. You only need to pay for what you use. It is just like an electricity bill. And so this is the benefit of the cloud. But when it comes to the on-premises computing, the on-premises computing has certain limitations over the cloud computing. Like in the on-premises computing, uh, you also pay for what you not use, and you also need to manage other things like security of the cloud, and securing physical infrastructure, maintaining physical infrastructure, and all of these things. So cloud provides you all of these benefits, and here it comes. In the market, AWS is one of the largest cloud service provider around the world, and AWS offers about 212 services which are available to you when you create an AWS console account. Note that whenever you create a console account, AWS recognize you as a organization. So don't be confused in the AWS Educate account. Don't be confused in AWS console account, and don't be confused about AWS training account. Training account are the different. Training accounts are maintained by AWS partners, like Vocadam is the AWS partner which provides training to the new cloud aspirants, and other clouds and other training providers like Quick Labs and a Cloud Guru. Uh, all of these are the training providers which are the partner of AWS and other clouds too. But and these training accounts are different from the AWS console account. Again, I repeat, note that whenever you create a console account is recognized by AWS as a organization account. Fine. So let's have a quick look upon the AWS global infrastructure. AWS global infrastructure consists of regions, availability zones, data centers, and point of presences. Uh, and AWS offers about 212 services. To see these global infrastructure, uh, you can also see this global infrastructure by visiting a website, uh, by visiting the AWS website. Let me take you to that website, guys. Wait for a while. You can go to this website and see the entire AWS global infrastructure graphically, and just click on just go to this link. I'll share you this link with you guys, and you can go to this click on this image, and this will take you to the AWS global infrastructure. Here you can see all of the AWS regions, point of presences, and edge locations also. See, these are the
Hello.
hello.
Can you give a small description of point of presences? Just a small one.
Yes, point of presences are much like data centers, but whenever you understand, whenever you thought of a point of presences are actually edge locations which are nearest to you, and point of presences are widely or only used for content delivery network. Whenever you deliver your content, that content will be delivered to the your customers around the world, and that content will be cached to the nearest point of presence. I hope you can understand my point.
The it uses CloudFront, है ना?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, okay.
Exactly. You can see there are point of presences. There are different point of presences inside availability zones, inside region. Whenever note that AWS regions are the top, and inside AWS regions there are availability zones, and there are point of presences. So you can see this global infrastructure. You can log into this website, and this will explain you about and this will show you entire global infrastructure of AWS. You can see, you can understand better it when you log into this website. And fine. So this is about the global infrastructure. And if you guys not understanding this very well, you can ask me to repeat the previous lectures, so I'll plan a session that I conducted earlier. Fine. So AWS services. AWS offers about 212 services, which are broadly comes under the compute services, storage services, and networking services. These are very. This is a small view of what kind of what kind of services AWS provides to you. Along with that, AWS also provides services like uh, which are uh, uh, which are available to you. And fine. So let's understand what is EC2. So in Amazon EC2 is a elastic compute cloud, and Amazon EC2 is a elastic compute cloud. So EC2, C2 means compute and cloud, and E is for elastic. So this is a small diagram of elastic compute cloud. And after that, Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud is a kind of web service which is which offers you a secure, resizable compute capacity. And EC2 can do all the tasks that a normal laptop or PC can do. You can perform all the tasks that you can normally performs on a computer, that you normally performs on a laptop or a desktop on your on premises or your home or your office. You can think of an EC2 as a laptop or a desktop on the cloud. So EC2 is same as a computer, but the difference between EC2 and a computer or a normal desktop is EC2 is a web service which is provided by AWS, and it is on the cloud. You can go to this link to understand more about EC2, to read the documentation and other things too. So let's understand what is the difference between server on the cloud and server on premises. So server on the cloud. When you deploy a server on cloud, you need no upfront investment. But when you deploy a server on premises, you have to invest some amount of upfront investment. And in cloud, there is no or low ongoing cost. But in on premises, you will have to manage labor, patches, upgrade cycles, etc. And cloud saves time, while on premises is waste your time in ordering and setup. Like when you like you are a developer or you are a network or you are a server administrator and you want to deploy one more server for your application, what you need to do on premises. In on premises, you write an application to your manager that and your manager will forward your application to the finance department, and finance department will look upon your application and then they send to the and after they confirm, the application will be sent to the vendors and vendors send servers to your on premises. This kind of process requires time, like 4 or 5 days, like 2 3 days, and after the machine comes to your on premises, you manage it, you install it, you plug in, and you deploy, you configure it according to you. But when it comes to cloud, it is hardly a task of minutes, like 2 or 3 minutes. It doesn't require that much time. So this is the benefit of cloud. Cloud saves time. Your server will be ready to you and will be available to you within minutes, within 5 minutes, within 4 minutes, within 3 minutes. So this is the benefit of AWS and AWS or cloud. And cloud is flexible capacity, while on premises has fixed capacity. And cloud follows the concept of speed, agility, and ready in minutes, while on premises requires time and expertise to manage. So let's understand what is a server. A server is a computer with specific programs and or hardwares that enabled it to offer service to other computers. So a server is a normal computer, like other computers, and a server is a much more powerful machine than a normal computer. And what a server do, a server is deployed on a particular network and it provides services to the other client machine that are available on that network. Suppose if you are a student of an institute, that institute will have a one server, and that server and your client machines like your desktop and your thin clients will be connected to that server to see the organization specific data and send the data to that server. So this is a small example of a server, or what kind of server. So a server is a machine, and in that powerful machine you install some kind of services and roles. Like for hosting website, you configure service like web server service, and some of the web server services like Apache and Tomcat, and also there is a server service like in Windows IIS, Internet Information Service. Also, in server you can install mail server to send your mail, and DHCP server and DNS server. So these are the services, these are the roles that can be added to a particular server. So why server needed? So a server performs application critical tasks. So what are the application critical tasks? Application critical tasks are the tasks that are very much critical and very much needy for your application. Suppose when you are deploying an application, if you are a photo sharing website, so what application critical task? So in that case, deploying your website, maintaining your website, and uh, maintaining the availability and maintaining the healthiness of your website, so that your website will be able to serve thousands and millions of users. So this is a kind of application critical task. So a server is a computer which is able to perform all these tasks, that it can handle thousands of users at a particular time. Fine. So and a server is a machine that is available 24/7. You keep a server online 24/7 so that anytime your user can connect to your application and can do the task, whether it is a late night or whether it is a early morning. A server can serve a service to the thousands of users at a time. Fine. So let's see how we can actually go ahead and can deploy a server or EC2 server on AWS. So the prerequisite for launching a server is you will have to have a AWS console account. So let's do that. If you have any question, you can anytime ask and unmute yourself. Fine. So I'm logging into my account. So you broadly there are two kind of OS available, that is Windows Server and Linux Server. So we'll see how to deploy Windows Server, and if time permits, we'll also see how to deploy a Linux server and how to configure web server on Linux machine. Uh, don't miss to submit your attendance and your feedback, because your feedback is directly give to AWS, not to me. Your feedback is not, I can't see your feedback, but your feedback is only seen by AWS, and your feedback is directly submitted to them. So this is a AWS management console. For those who are new, this is quite uh, new for them, and this is quite difficult for them to understand. So let me give a quick overview of this AWS console account. So this is a AWS management console account. These are the list of services that are offered by AWS, like blockchain, security and compliance, and these are the list of services. For storage, there are EFS, FSX, S3, Glacier, Storage Gateway, AWS Backup, and S3. So there are list and bunch of services. These are around, above 200. These are about 200 services. So above here, you can select any region. If you select any region, your machine, your resources will be deployed to their region, deployed to that region. So let's select any one of your region of your choice. In my case, I'm selecting Singapore region. You can select any one of your choice. You can select any region. Not that whenever you launch a uh, EC2 is not a global service. EC2, whenever you deploy a EC2, that EC2 will be deployed to a availability zone. So it is a AZ level service. AZ means availability zone. So I have selected Singapore as my region. So let's go to the EC2. You can also search for EC2 from here, and you can also select EC2 in the compute console. So EC2 is a compute service. See, there are number of compute services like EC2 Lambda. You can select you can select a choice these services according to your use case. So right now I don't have any instances over here. So let's go to the running instances. So I don't have any instance over here right now. So let us launch an instance. Click on launch instance. So an instance is a web server. Instance is a EC2 instance. An instance is a machine that you can access from your client machine, and that is deployed to AWS. So you can select any instance of your, you can select AMI. AMI stands for Amazon Machine Image. Amazon Machine Image explains you about what kind of operating system will install on your machine. So in that case, you can in here you can see a different kind of operating systems available, that in Amazon Linux AMI, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, SUSE Linux, Ubuntu Server, and many. So for this practical, I'm selecting Windows Server. You can scroll down, go ahead and scroll down, but in this practical I'm directly searching for Windows Server. So I am selecting Microsoft Windows Server 2019 base. So go to the click on select, choose instance type. See, in whenever you there are many things inside EC2, like instance families, instance types. So whenever you launch an instance, first of all you need to select an AMI, and after that you have to select an instance type, which type of instance you want to launch. Here T2 Micro is a free tier eligible, but other what about others? Others are paid service. Others are paid instances like uh, T3A medium. All of these instance types are paid, but for this practical, I'm selecting free tier eligible. If you want me to have a deep dive session on EC2, you can suggest me, you can ask me to have a session to have a deep dive session on EC2. In that session, we'll study about instance families, instance type, pricing model like reserved instance, spot instance, on-demand instance, how AWS costs you for launching instance. But as of now, uh, this session is just an overview. It is just a small hands-on session. But if you guys ask me, I'll definitely plan a deep dive session for you guys. So let's go ahead. I'm selecting free tier eligible instance. It will not cost you. You can select, and after that, it is asking me for number of instances. You can enter number of instances that you want to deploy at a time, but as of now I am selecting only one instance. You can also request AWS for a spot instance, but right now I am not asking for it to have launch a spot instance. You can select VPC from here. Note that as of now we'll not be seeing VPC, but just to make you a small just for understanding, a VPC is a virtual private cloud or a network. Inside that network, you launch a instance. Like if you are a college student, if you are a student of Acropolis, so that Acropolis College is your entire network, and in that network there are different departments like BCom department, NCA department, BE department. Under BE there are CS department, IT department, EC department. So all of these departments you can understand as a availability zone, and inside that availability zone, inside a lab, there is a machine. But that machine, above that machine there is a department, there is a availability zone, and above that availability zone there is a entire big network, that is your college. So understand, this is an example of your college. So a VPC is a network. Inside that network you deploy your server. So right now I'm selecting default VPC, and in that default VPC you can select any of the subnet. I'll say no preference. You can launch in the availability zone of your choice. So after that, click on add storage, and in this window you can add storage if you want. You can add a new EBS volume, but right now just not make it much complex. Go to the tags. So you can add tags. This is not compulsory step, this is the optional step. So let's add a tag as so
Hello,
yes.
can you please explain what is a tag?
Yes, A tag is actually like a name, a naming, is a kind of a naming convention. A tag is something like you attach a tag to your AWS resources just to recognize that AWS resource when you pay bills, like in an organization. Suppose if there is an organization, in that organization you launch hundreds of instances, and you launch hundreds of AWS services, and to understand that what uh, which AWS service costs you how much, so in that case, you add tax to that resource. You apply that tax to your services, to your resources. And tags are just a kind of a naming convention. It is just for naming. It is just to recognize. It is just to help you understood that oh right, this service is cost you this, and this service I launch for this purpose. So in this, I have enter a key name as, or you, I can, so let's make it much clear as I'll name it as workshop. I'll name it as workshop and understanding. So fine. So click on configure security group and up now. So a security group is a firewall. Whenever you launch a EC2, that EC2 is launched inside a security group. So a security group is a kind of a virtual firewall that consists of rules, and in that security group rules you add what kind of traffic will be allowed to your instance, and what kind of inbound traffic is allowed to your instance, and what kind of outbound traffic allowed from your instance to the outside world. Outside world is internet. See, if you are launching an application that is that you want to have a very much secure, and so AWS recommends you to only uh, only allow those IP addresses that are belongs to your organization. Don't I suggest you don't every time allow all. See, in here I am selecting a security group. So a security group like default security group. So in that security group, I have some rules, like I have allowed HTTP rule, I have allowed uh, uh, SSH rule. SSH rule is for connecting to the Linux instance, but instead of selecting existing security group, I'll select as create a new security group. So in here, create a new security group as gaming workshop. Fine. So this is my security group, and for understanding, for understanding server. Fine. So this is a Windows instance. So by default, it is adding a RDP rule. And RDP rule is a remote desktop protocol. And RDP protocol is used when you connect to your Windows machine. When you connect to your remote Windows machine. So RDP stands for Remote Desktop Protocol. From my client machine, I'll be using my Windows server that is deployed to AWS in Singapore region. So click on add rule, or let's move ahead with this. So yeah, in here in source, click on anywhere, select anywhere. So this 0.0.0 slash 0 says 0.0.0 says no bits, check no bits. 0.0.0.0 checks no bit, and this is used when you want to have internet access. So remember that. We'll also understand what does it mean in if when we plan a network, when we plan a session on network. So click on review and launch. So this is showing you I'm launching an instance which is a Windows Server 2019 base, which is having an instance type of T2 micro. and I'm selecting a security group, that is evening workshop security group, and the security group description is for understanding servers. And in that security group I am adding two rules, and you can also see the instance details. Fine. So if I click on launch, so it is asking me to have a PEM file. Note that a PEM file is a kind of a file, is a kind of a password file, and that PEM file is uh, that PEM file will help you to connect to the EC2 instance when you want to have a remote access. So when you, and also make sure that whenever you create a key pair and download a key pair, store it at a very safe place. When you lost a key pair, AWS won't help you to connect your instance, and your data will be lost, and you will not be able to connect to that instance if you lost your key file. So whenever you launch instance and you want that EC2 instance, and you want that EC2 you want that you always want to have access to that instance. So make sure to store a key pair file at your very safe folder or drive. So in my case, I'll be selecting create a new key pair, and I'll name it as workshop. Fine. So click on download key pair. It is asking me in which folder should I save the file. So I'll say on desktop. Click on in today's session. So click on download key pair. So this key pair is downloaded, and click on launch instance. So my instance is launching, and I have my key pair with me, that is workshop.pem. So workshop.pem is a password file.
Hello.
Yes,
Is it necessary? Means if we want to log in this instance, then this key pair will always work now.
yes, this will always work. This will always work. But if you lost
It is
the
not
key,
necessary to
yes,
means for this logging in into this instance, we'll need that key pair which we have downloaded.
yes, every time,
Okay.
every time. If you lost key pair, you will not be able to connect, and AWS won't help you to recover that. This is a
Okay.
AWS policy that if customer
Uh,
lost his key pair will not help them to connect to that instance.
and with one key pair, can we have multiple instances?
Yes, you can deploy multiple instances with having a same key pair. We'll do that
Okay.
in upcoming sessions too. Fine. So my instance is getting ready, and it is saying that its status is initializing, and its state is running, and instance type is T2 micro. It is launching my instance in an availability zone, that is AP Southeast 1B, and it is having that public IP and that public DNS name. So till that time it is initializing. We'll see about other things too. So let's understand what is website before we deploy a website into the EC2 server. So a website is a collection of web pages that are grouped together. And what is a web page? So a web page is a kind of a document that is displayed in web browser, and a browser such as Google Chrome, Opera, Microsoft Internet Explorer, or Edge, or Apple and Safari. So collection of web pages is known as website, and web pages are grouped together to make up a website. So what is a hosting? So a hosting is an online service that enables you to publish your website or a web application on the internet. and this is something like you deploy your website to a server that is every time available to you, and you can every time query to that server to process the data. And so this is a website hosting and requirements to host a website. So a website requires internet and a server and expertise to maintain that server so that your application will be healthy all the time. So this is about the website and website hosting. So there are also types of websites like static websites and dynamic websites. So a static website is written in plain HTML without server-side scripting and no databases. And but when it comes to a dynamic website uses a server-side scripting languages like PHP, ASP, and JSP, and include database. So a dynamic website includes in dynamic websites you create you design, you create some APIs. That APIs will send the data and receive the data and computes the data on the behalf of user request, and that data will be stored to the databases. But when it comes to the static website, so static website don't uses databases. So this is a quick overview of websites, what are websites and what are static websites and dynamic websites. I'll also share this PPT, this PDF with you guys after the session. You can join our WhatsApp group too. I'll ask my friend to share the WhatsApp group link in the chat box so that everyone can join the group and ask your doubts. If you find any doubts after this workshop in doing practical in any other topic, you can ask me to clear that doubt, and I can help you anytime by taking remote, by providing you remote support or support on call. So you can anytime connect to me and my friends to clear your doubt. So in here, my instance is ready. It is saying me that status 2 out of 2 checks is ready, and you are ready to connect to that instance. So what we'll be doing will be just connecting to that instance. So right click on the instance. So right click on the instance, click on connect. Fine. And download a RDP file. RDP stands for Remote Desktop Protocol. So I'll clicking on that RDP, download Remote Desktop Protocol file. So it is downloading a Remote Desktop Protocol file for me, and you can click and so my RDP file is ready here. So in here, my RDP file is ready, and it is asking me for a password. So what you need to do is you just need to decrypt password over here. So click on decrypt password, click on decrypt password, and in here it is asking you to have a file. So click on choose file, go to the desktop, and in desktop click on today's session, and I'll selecting my workshop.pem file, click on open. So it has chosen that file, and after that click on decrypt password. So it is decrypted a password. This is this password, and that password was encrypted, and that password was decrypted for you so that you will be able to log into the instance. So I'm clicking on copy. So my password is now copied. Open the dialog box of RDP
Hello.
protocol. Yes.
Every time we'll log in, we'll get a new password through that key, है ना?
Actually, this is done by some dynamic algorithms, but in most of the cases your password is same, but in some cases your password will change after some time. Like if you log into that
But
instance
means
after
we have to decrypt this password every time we try to connect to our instance.
no, this is not compulsory, but what AWS does, after you use the same password for 2 to 3 times, like if I store that password in some file, and if I'll try to connect to that instance after 2 to 3 days or 4 days, that password will not allow me to log in. So what I need to do is, in that case, I'll go to the console. I'll need to go to the console, and again I need to decrypt a new password. So AWS suggests you that every time when you decrypt every time when you log into the instance, you should decrypt the password, and you should not store that decrypted password to any file for security purpose. And that's why AWS changes the password key uh, after some time, after 2 to 3 days maybe. So that's why that same password is not available to you for 2 to 3 days. After 2 to 3 days, when I decrypt the
Okay.
same password, this that password will change.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
uh, uh, this is uh, uh, this is done by AWS key management service. Like AWS in behind the scenes uses key management service to decrypt, to encrypt these kind of passwords, so that customers data will secure. And this is the responsibility of AWS. Right? So I'll paste my password. So click on OK. So it is showing me some dialog box, and I'll say yes. So yep, we are connected to our remote server, which is deployed in AWS, and we'll successfully log into that server from our client machine. So our instance is getting ready. So just wait for some time. So this is my remote desktop that is ready to me, and I can use that desktop. I can deploy a website to it. I can do anything whatever I want to do with that server. I can deploy a mail server, I can deploy DHCP server, I can deploy DNS server. All of the tasks can be done by this server. So right now my server is ready, and click on up now. So what's our next task? So our next task is to deploy web install web server roles on that machine, so that we can deploy our website, and that website will be accessible from outside the world. So in here, if I type localhost, so localhost is same machine. So when I type localhost, it is saying me that so my localhost is not ready because the IIS service is not installed yet. So what we need to do is we need to actually go ahead and install the IIS service, which stands for Internet Information Service. So to install IIS service, after we install a IIS service, there is one folder which is created automatically, that is name is init pub. So in here, I don't have init pub folder right now. So what I'll be doing, I'll be going to start menu, click on server manager. So server manager is a desktop application which is installed on Windows server. And in that server manager, you can manage your server. You can you can install any kind of roles to it. So as of now, I'll be clicking on add role. So it is getting ready. Wait for some time, it is getting ready. This is a problem with Windows. A Windows machine is very slow. When it comes to the Linux machine is much faster than Windows. So so again click on add roles and features, add roles and features, and here click on next, role based or
Whenever we want to, hello.
yeah.
Uh, Whenever we want to install a new software, we'll have to install it from server manager only. We cannot download it directly from internet and install it into the computer.
You can download and you can install, but this is a very uh, lengthy process. And what I recommend, I don't recommend you on the server to download software from outside world and install, because if you download the software, that software will may come from malicious website, and there may be chances that inside that code, that inside that package, inside that software, there are some kind of malicious code that can harm your application on your server. Suppose if you are a website, so if you are an application critical website, like if you are a transaction, if you are a banking kind of application, will you allow your application, will you allow on your servers to other applications to install simultaneously from unknown sources? Will you actually allow that if you are a banking website and you have a millions of customers around the world?
No, we'll not allow others to go through our websites.
You can, yes, you don't want others to, you don't want third party softwares, you don't want malicious code, you don't want this kind of harmful code, because that can risk your application, and that can also harm your they can also harm your application, and that can also harm your business, your
Okay,
customer
so
base,
we'll
and
download it from Server Manager.
so I'll suggest you to download from Server Manager and use Server Manager, because Server Manager is an application, is a Server Manager is available to you from Microsoft, and Microsoft provides you these services uh, with very secure protocols. So that's why I'm using Server Manager. But before that, I have also used WAM server on my EC2. By that WAM server, I have also installed I have deployed a WAM server and downloaded from the uh, internet. So you can also do that. You can go to the Google, you can go to the web browser, and you can search for the uh, other software packages too. But as of now, we're just using Server Manager, and I also suggest you to use Server Manager because it is secure to install services. Don't go any other website to install services and roles and features, etc. Or actually, you cannot able to install the rules and features via other services, but you can install other packages, other software from browser, and other services from browser, and you can go to the browser. You can use browser, but only if when it is trustworthy. So I'm selecting rules and or feature based installation. Click on next, and after that select server from the server pool. Click on next. So in here you have lots of roles. You can see here DHCP role, DNS role, fax server, Hyper-V, host guardian service, remote access, remote desktop service, web server IaaS. So these are the bunch of services and roles that are available to you, and you can download it from the server manager. But as of now, I'll be using web server IaaS rule. Click on add features. So the web server IaaS rule is selected to install. Click on next. Click on next. Click on next. Click on next, and you can check mark and uncheck it according to your choice. So I'm uncheck this and click on next. Install. So it is installing the server, and it takes hardly 1 minute to install. And let's go to see here. So after our server successfully installed, there is one folder which is known as init pub folder. It will be automatically created. So it is getting ready, and sometimes it takes much more time to complete, and sometimes it get ready in some seconds and some minutes. But so installation succeeded. So our installation is completed, So go to here, and in here you can see here a folder is created automatically, that is initpub folder. So this initpub folder contains the file for web server. So now go to the web browser and click and in here type localhost. So type localhost. So our server is ready. So what we'll be doing, we will be copying our website code into the folder. So in that folder, go to the initpub folder, go to the triple W root folder, and in here delete these files. So I have deleted these files, and what I'll be doing, I'll be copying my website code. So I have mailed you the website code. You can download it from mail. So I'll be just extracting it. So I have extracted the code. Open. I extracted the code. Copy that folder and paste it here. So I copied the folder and I am pasting it here on my server. And it is copying. So the folder is copied, and select all files. Control C, copy and paste it to the triple W root folder. So what I have copied my website code, and entire website code I have copied it to the initpub inside triple W root folder. So our website is ready. So refresh it. So this is my website. It is ready, and web server role is successfully installed. But as of now, at the moment, uh, you can see here this is the accessible from localhost. But in real world, when you uh, when you configure domain, when if you are a web application, if you are a website, and if you are a kind of photo sharing website, you share your domain name to your users, and that domain name will be that domain name will take your users to your application. So as of now, I will not showing you how to configure your domain. We'll see in upcoming lectures when we study Route 53. So I'm just now copying my public IP address, and copy this public IP address and paste it here in the browser. So if you paste the public IP address, you will not be access your website from the outside world, because this is due because you have successfully configured your website, but in security groups you have not allowed HTTP port 80 rule over the internet. So the site can't be reached as of now. So a HTTP port, HTTP is a service. HTTP is a protocol. By that protocol, you access a website online, and whenever I type a website name, like if I type google.com, so that web browser is connecting me to the google.com with the protocol over and it is using a protocol as HTTP or HTTP as protocol, right? So whenever you hit a website from browser, it uses a protocol that is HTTPS protocol or HTTP protocol, and it uses port number behind the scene as port 80. So what you need to do, you need to go to the security group, and you need to allow security group over the port 80, and also you have to mention that over the port 80 allows the connection from anywhere outside the world. So I'm going to the EC2 console. In here, select your EC2 instance. So I have selected my EC2 instance. Go to the security group section here. Click on security group and go to the security group. After you come here in this console, drag it up here. Click on inbound group. click on inbound rule. What kind of inbound rule allow you to your server? So right now I have one inbound rule. I have two inbound rule as RDP and RDP over from anywhere outside world. So RDP uses port range 3389. So what we will be doing, we will be click on edit inbound rule and click on add rule, custom TCP. You can select num see there are number of rules available for you. You can and these are the different rules which are used for different use cases. So as of now, I am using HTTP HTTP protocol. So HTTP protocol uses port 80 and it is asking me for source from where you allow connection. So click on custom. So here custom is by default selected. So click on anywhere, select any, click on this drop down and select anywhere. So I have selected this rule and click on save rule. So the connection from outside the world is allowed and security group is a kind of firewall. So I again come to the
So,
yes.
uh, what is the difference between that outbound and inbound rules?
Actually, inbound rule is what kind of inbound rule? Matlab, it is like what kind of rules you allow outside world to come into your instance. Fine, your instance is inside a network. Your instance is within a network. So, security group is a kind of a security guard. It's a security guard, and you are asking your you told that security guard that whenever someone from outside the world wants to come my house, so allow him his or her. So this is a kind of inbound rule. But whenever you want your home, you want your person or a traffic inside your home to go to the outside world, you told that security guard that whenever any kind of traffic wants to go to the outside world like internet, so allow him his or her. So this is a small example of about inbound rule and outbound rule. Inbound rule is simple like what kind of what kind of rules you allow to your
Coming into the network, है ना?
yes coming to your network,
In,
and what
okay.
kind of rules when you talk about what kind of traffic go to the outside world, then you configure it inside the outbound rule.
So here we are only in need to configure inbound rules because we only want that our connection could be reached to other people or other people can reach our website. So anyone can come
Yes,
inside our network
yes,
and go to our website.
yes. That's all. Fine.
Okay.
So previously, this IP address is not being accessible, but right now, when we have made entries to the security group, that website is now accessible. So this is a small example, and I'm pasting it to the and I'm copying that IP address and pasting it into the chat box, so all of you can access to that website. So go and check is it working or not. Go and check if it working or not.
Sir, it is working.
Is it working? Is it working?
Yes, sir, it is working.
Fine. Anyone having any doubt? Those who are late in join, I'll share the recording of the session so that you can see recording, you can watch the recording and do the configurations according to you and you can learn the thing. But remember that whenever you want me to help, you can anytime ask me. So this is our website is ready, and after that, go to the EC2 dashboard. Click on the EC2 dashboard. So I suggest you. when you done this practical and you are understand that concept very well, so I suggest you to please stop or terminate the instance, because AWS will charge you even if it is a free tier. AWS provides offers you 750 hours of EC2 in free tier access, and that 750 hours minus uh, will decrease when you launch EC2 instance, when you deploy EC2 instance, and that number of hours or minutes your EC2 instance is up. So I'll request or suggest you to terminate your instance after you've done the practical. This is the best practice, and also you can go to the support dashboard, and you can go to the support dashboard and check for bills and payments. This is a good practice to do every time when you use AWS, because I don't want at the end of the month you will receive a huge amount of bill that you had charged this amount of bill. So I don't actually want. So every time when you use AWS, please go and check for billing and cost management dashboard. Fine. So this is our workshop for today. So if you have any doubt, you can ask me. If it is helpful for you, if you understand the topic very well, a small request to you: if you post the screenshot on LinkedIn, that will be very great help for me, and tag me so that profile will be your profile will reach to the many of the people, and fill the feedback form. That feedback form will be received by AWS, and your attendance will matter, and your attendance will help your attendance will be captured by them. So I'm not committing to that it is beneficial for you, but it is attendance matters. Attendance matters. That's why I'm asking you to fill the feedback form, because feedback form is maintained by AWS. So feedback form is a kind of attendance form also. So don't forget to fill the form. And thank you. And let's meet in the another session, or another session too. Or that's all for today.